Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are soon resuming to the APNIC Member Meeting. I heard a song. Hello, hello, hello. Song, right? The mic is unmuted. But still, okay. All right. Resuming the APNIC Member Meeting business. To enter to the second session, please be seated. Is anyone catching overflow in a coffee break? Still? Okay. Maybe we should wait for some minutes. Should we start? All right. Welcome back to the APNIC Member Meeting. The morning second session is beginning with my report. Okay, let's start my report. Report from the APNIC Executive Council. P. No, P. Which one? This one. All right. Okay, thank you very much. So, as Craig explained to you about the Executive Council election this time and the election of the office holders, we've already have had the EC members for the 2014. So I'd like to invite the all EC members to introduce themselves. So beginning with Paul.
I'm Paul. I'm a member of the EC ex officio because that's written into our bylaws. Thanks.
Okay. This is Yan. As usual, I'm still serving as the secretary for the executive board member. Thank you.
Kenny Huang, sorry. Also, APNIC Executive Board Member and Board Member from TNAMIC. Thank you.
Wei Zhao, with AC Board and with CNIC.
Hi, this is Gaurav Upadhyay with AC and currently with Limelight Networks. I'm Chiu Chen from Hong Kong.
Perfect timing. Sorry, I had to check out. James Spenceley from Vocus in Sydney, EC member and treasurer.
All right, thank you very much, everyone. Yes, the whole executive council is on the stage to show you their faces. Then the executive council is representing the membership to oversee the day-to-day job of the secretariat. Then we are really happy to have your voice, have your opinion, to reflect it to our job. Thank you very much. Function of the APNIC EC. This is a quite regular slide, but for sure I'm getting through. Representing the interests of the members in the governance of APNIC, oversight of the activities of APNIC, to consider broad internet policy issues for APNIC's strategic direction, to set membership fees, to endorse the policy consensus toward the implementation. They are our functions and our responsibility. Meeting schedule, we decided maybe 1 year ago to change the meeting schedule from the original shape with the monthly telephone conference and the face-to-face meeting in every meeting occasion to the quarterly meeting. That means that 4 times a meeting a year, all in person, face-to-face meetings. Then we will meet have the meetings every meeting and every APNIC conference on the APRICOT occasion, and in addition to that, we have 2 other opportunity to have our face-to-face meeting. One is usually in December for the in somewhere, for example, in the Brisbane APNIC office and some other part of the region, and to have that with the retreat activity. And another part is usually occur in May, to have to travel to the other RIA meeting to have some joint board kind of activity, and then there we will have the EC meeting for our own job. So, as said, we have the meeting since the APNIC 36 in Siam. We had the EC retreat in the Brisbane in December, and we had the meeting in this week, actually on Monday. So all meeting minutes can be found in the EC website. That's easy to remember, www.apnic.net/EC. Please visit it to have our activity. Strategic planning. The strategic plan has already been explained by our Director General, Paul Wilson. We've already endorsed a 5-year strategic plan to focus efforts on our missions, and that includes the specific activities to focus on serving members, supporting the Asia-Pacific region, collaborating with the internet community, and to support APNIC as a resilient organization capable of meeting our community obligations. So it's something we additionally consider more deeply before we did before. Then I believe that by this kind of the strategic planning, APNIC will be improving more and more. Financial objectives. That's already reported by our treasurer, James Spenceley. We are happy to have the very stable financial management by APNIC Secretariat, and we have decided to increase the cash reserve position, which was originally equivalent to 12 months of the operation expenses, to build it up to 18 months, and the target deadline is by 2017. And we are happy to observe that the current reserve position is approximately 15 to 16 months. Then we are quite steady move to our target. Fees. As I said, one of the roles of the Executive Council is to set member fees. The current fee schedule will remain unchanged for membership and services for 2014. That means that there is no major change of our fee structure. With that, the Executive Council has considered the implementation of policy proposal 107, which enable the members to transfer the autonomous system numbers. And we decided that registration of the AS number transfer shall be accessible to current account holders of APNIC. So everyone who need to transfer the AS number need to be an account holder of the APNIC. So account holder means the members of APNIC and with the non-member account. No fee is payable for registration of AS number transfers between APNIC members. So intra APNIC, you don't need to pay the registration fee. But in case of the inter-area transfers involving an APNIC account holder, the APNIC account holder will be charged a fee of 20% of the annual associate membership fee, which is the 635, and 20% of that will make 135. Is that correct? Might be wrong. Maybe correct. Yes. So that's actually the consistent with our fee schedule for the inter-areal IP address transfer. Then that's the main reason why we said this. Another point is the RPKI services. RPKI, Resource Public Infrastructure, is developed by the APNIC Secretariat, and we are very active in this activity. And currently, access to RPKI services in APNIC is limited to current members of APNIC. We have received a request to consider allowing all entities holding resources in the APNIC registry to access RPKI services. But we consider that's the issue, and we are in the position that want to reiterate that previous undertaking APNIC made to holders of resources in the historical address registries that were transferred into the APNIC registry, that APNIC will maintain these historical registry records on an as-is basis at no cost. So the historical registry holders are not forced to be the membership of the APNIC, but they can stay there as its basis. But for the access to the RPKI service is a bit different, because the RPKI service has been developed by the fund of the APNIC, which is the membership fee and non-member service charge from the account holders. Then that is our position to have RPKI services is to just only to membership and account holder of APNIC. Internet governance. Some of them is already explained by our Director General. We at the Executive Council closely following developments which may affect the APNIC, and we have the continued contributing APNIC expertise in internet governance discussions. And in 2013 we have the Internet Governance Forum 2013 in Bali, Indonesia, and we approved the extra support for the IGF Bali to have it stably operated. And another big point in terms of the internet governance we had in last year is Montevideo statement by the ISTER leaders in October, and the APNIC Executive Council considered this statement and have resolved to support and endorse this Montevideo statement as the as the really key movement for the future of the internet governance. Then I am happy to have the consultation session with you, the membership and the broader community of the APNIC, to have it discussed in this occasion. And that is because you know the APNIC activity is based on the consent of the APNIC members. And the Executive Council is in the position to represent the APNIC membership to authorize the activity by the APNIC Secretariat. So please join and have the active discussion in the consultation session after my report. Appointment of the NRO member, NRO number council member is one of the EC's job. The executive council appoints one member to the number council of the NRO for a one-year term, which is called the executive council appointee at the number council. By the way, that out of 3 members, 1 member is appointed by the executive council, and the 2 members are elected by the community in August meeting occasion. This year, we are happy to announce the appointment of the Aftab Siddiqui. Aftab, you are there? Okay, stand up. All right, thank you very much. Aftab has already entered to his office of the NRO number council as the EC appointee, and have already had 2 meetings of the SOAC, and he's already acting as that office. And Aftab was actually have the second position of the voting count in a member election in August. Then that is why we think he is good to have that services. We would like to thank Andy Linton, who is still doing the chairing position of the SIG policy, and who served as the EC appointee at the NRO-NC for 2 years, 2012 to 2013. Andy, where are you? All right, thank you very much. APNIC member survey, which is a survey for the membership and the broader community. We will be conducting the biennial, that's a really strange word to me, but you know, every 2 years, we conduct a member survey. So the 2014 is that year for us to conduct the membership survey. We will be convening a number of the focus group meetings across the region in the coming months. I mean, March, April, or May, to capture the current issues and concerns from the members. The survey will run from June 9th to the July 11th. And before that, focus group is for setting the shape of the survey and the designing the survey. So focus group first, then we will run the membership survey. Please support this valuable feedback program by providing us with your views on what we are doing well and where we can do more. Another big decision by Executive Council was the meeting planning. As many of you know that now APRICOT is rotating the sub-region, the four of the sub-region, so year to year. Then APNIC meeting, APNIC conferences, which regularly held in August, as well as APRICOT, we will rotate to sub-region. So, you know, APRICOT, and next APRICOT is will be held in Fukuoka. Then we will have the APNIC meeting in 2015 in South Asia. Then you know, rotation this goes to the Southeast Asia, South Asia, East Asia, and Oceania. This is quite regular rotation of the sub-region, and the APRICOT and the APNIC has some staggered setting of the each rotation. Then that makes quite smooth rotation the sub-region to sub-region. The big decision by us is the next APNIC conference in September 2014. Sorry. We had unfortunate report from the local host that logistical problems have arisen with the venue space in Noumea. Then the OPT, the New Caledonian telecom carrier, was hosting the Noumea meeting, but with the agreement with them, we have had to cancel the plans to meet at this location. Then APNIC is really appreciating OPT for their efforts in trying to meet our conference needs. Then after that, APNIC 38 in next APNIC meeting in August this year will be held in Brisbane, where APNIC office is located. And actually, you know, it is not really often, but we have some mind that if, just in case, the meeting host is not successfully, conducted, then our plan of the fallback is to get it back to Brisbane. So this decision follows that idea of ours, and still remain the sub-region rotation plan within Oceania. Then the meeting dates is just unchanged, 9 to 19th September 2014. Member engagement. The Executive Council welcomes comments, suggestions, and questions from members, stakeholders, and all others with an interest in APNIC's functions and operations. Actually, rather than putting in that way, the membership is the very subject of the APNIC, Asia Pacific Network Information Center. So I should say APNIC is you, and Executive Council is for you to represent the membership to work with the Secretariat, and then the Secretariat is working for you. So please let us hear your voice and what do you think about the APNIC operation, because APNIC is you. Thank you very much. It is all from me, and I'm happy to answer your questions if you have.
I'm Ruby from Nixie, and I'm working for IREN. So my question is for policy 107, that is for the ASN transfer.
Yeah.
So is it applicable for the RIR to NIR as well, that ASN transfer?
I don't think so. The intra APNIC account holder, we don't charge the fee.
Okay.
Correct? All right, thank you very much. That's good clarification. Andy.
Andy Linton, and I'm wearing my Victoria University hat, the university. You talked about the RPKI thing. I have a dilemma. I have a historic allocation of a /16, which we have registered as a, the low fee, historic allocation fee. And I also have from the university a /32, which we registered normally for V6. So I've got a ROA for my V6 allocation, and it will cost me 7,500 a year to upgrade my membership so that I can get a ROA for that /16. The most economically rational thing for me to do right now is to open a shelf company in the Netherlands, transfer my address resources to that shelf company, and move to RIPE, because it will cost me under 3,000 a year.
Okay.
And you guys have posted a surplus of 3 million, and it's a real struggle for me at the university not to go down that path of doing the economically rational thing. So I just leave that thought with you.
Okay. Thank you. Peter? No? Okay. All right, sure. Please.
It is, I understand the dynamics as you've explained it to the membership, etc. But in terms of the wider ecosystem, RPKI is a good thing. So again, look at the economics has been outlined, and see how things, keep a watchful eye, because I mean, this stuff takes quite a while to deploy, but in the end, everyone benefits.
Okay. Does anyone from Executive Council have any comment?
This is Gaurav. I'll just point out to Andy that inter-RIR transfers to RIPE doesn't work, so your Dutch cell company won't work.
Okay.
So I think what I'm coming to is each of the RIR regions have their own ways of doing things. And for that, RIPE has very much restrictive on transferring resources there, whereas we don't have. And I think all of that needs to be considered when we go and look at this. In the grand scheme of things, I think Victoria University should not have problems with 7,500 or whatever number it is, as I said.
I use this as an example of the nonsense of this. Members will be benefiting if everyone has a ROA and all resources are authenticated. And I think you say under RIR transfers, under mergers and acquisitions, I can have my company taken over, my resources taken over by something in the Netherlands and transfer it. You won't stop me doing this if I decide to do it. This isn't about threatening, this is about, but it's saying that that's the economically rational thing for me to want to do. So, that's what I should do. That's what my accountants at the university would want me to do. And it's what that's the behavior you're driving with this. And there are plenty of other people in the region who are in a similar position. There are not many of them, but the business about the ROAs, it doesn't cost any more to do a ROA for a /24 as it does to do it for a /16. So the cost recovery of that is not about the size of the address block.
I think the investment we have made in the processes and the existing cost is two different things. And what you are not considering is the time spent, resources spent in building all of it. You're just seeing a product and a click on a website, right? So we can take this offline and talk about it.
No, I think it's important that it's online because, the alternative is for me to do an alternative registry. And there's other people who can do that. You guys don't have an exclusive ability to produce ROAs, and I know there's a cost to doing all that sort of thing, but if you drive behavior in this way, that's what people will do because that's what it's rational to do.
So to get it clear, is this a purely an economic thing that Victoria University doesn't want to become a member and pay the fee? Or
this is one where if I go to the university authorities and say, for you to get a ROA, you're going to have to pay $7,500 a year for it. That's what it comes down to. And they'll say, we'll not bother. Because I'm dealing with a bunch of clowns at the university. Now, if I go to them and say, we can have a ROA and it won't cost us anything, they'll say, tick, let's do it. But they will not do this. They will not pay the $7,500 a year to do this, because that's really what it comes down to.
What will they pay? That's the question.
Well,
it's not free.
It's not free. Of course it's not free, but they will not pay it. And they've got it for the other stuff. So adding another ROA in here for me, And other people, I'm using this as an example, and I know other people haven't either thought about this or aren't prepared to get up here and talk about it. But that's what it will cost our university, and our university probably won't pay 7,500 to get a ROA. So they will not then be authenticating their routes, and that's the detriment of everyone here, not just people who haven't signed up as members. So I'll leave it with you, but that's where I see it coming from.
Look, Andy, I think it's probably worthwhile that we'll add this to the agenda for the next time we meet to discuss. But I'll just make a couple of points. I think that if you take the bigger picture view, the university has an incredibly valuable asset there. $7,500 a year is not specifically for your university, but in general is not a massive fee, given the value and the resources of the in a lot of cases the income that generates. Now I actively encourage people to become members of APNIC who have resources. Australia and New Zealand, I think, are the two specific ones that have a lot of members who have resources. Sorry, a lot of people who have resources that are not members. And I think that people should be encouraged to join. This is one way to do it, but obviously there's side effects, and those side effects, probably haven't been adequately debated.
But come back to my position then about if the university had a branch office in Amsterdam.
Mate, I can tell you, you'll eat up the difference between RIPE and the $7,500 in legal fees setting it up.
On a recurrent basis?
I would believe so, but I'm not going to debate the economics.
And it doesn't have to be Amsterdam. It could be Ireland. It could be any European, and in fact, it could be somewhere in the Middle East, or there's any country in the RIPE region. And I can't believe that we'll eat 7,500 just for that. And all we need to do is get the registration in. And you're going to drive behaviour. And the other question, of course, is why is the fee 2,000 or 2,000 euros for this same resource in RIPE, and it's 9,000 here?
Look, I mean, this is a broader question on fees, and I think something that the EC continually looks at. It's not as simple as saying in one area it's this amount of fee, and in another area it's not. We have very different structures in terms of NIRs. We have different cost structures in terms of the services.
And a $3 million surplus.
And absolutely a $3 million surplus. And my personal view is that I'd much prefer to have a larger surplus and a more stable and economically viable APNIC than have us scrounging for dollars to keep going in the future.
AJ from Alcatel-Lucent. I'm not going to touch the economics, but I just don't feel that this is serving the community particularly well.
Look, again, we'll take this on board and debate it again at the next meeting.
Just
feedback.
Pinderwong, just echoing that again. The wider ecosystem view, I think, needs to be borne in mind.
Yeah, we'll add that to the agenda for the next meeting.
Yeah. Anyway, yes, that's important to have some policy which is consistent to the economics and benefit. So it's really good to have your input for us to further consider this issue. Thank you very much. Any other questions?
Rajesh Charya, President ISPI. Sir, what I suggested into the earlier session about the reviewing of the NIR fee, may I request EC to consider that into the coming board meeting, so that whatsoever we are discussing about the educational institute, we can discuss this also along with that. It will be a great support for the community.
Actually, as my report consisted that we actually, continuously considering the fee, and there is a position not changing in this year or something like that. So the changing the premium for the NIR is a bit, it's a quite difficult consideration needed. Then as James Spencer said, that it is not our position right now to change. But yes, your voice is heard, and it is quite worth considering us for that change, possible change. So thank you very much for your input. Any other questions or comments? Okay, thank you very much. Then next, I can go to the next. You can take care of the change of the slides. Yep. Okay. Next to the Executive Council report, we'd like to have the discussion session, internet cooperation. That's, as I said in my report of the Executive Council, and as our Director General said in his report, we are now have a really big move of the internet governance, starting with the Montevideo Statement. We have the One Net initiative, and we will have the Net Mundial global multi-stakeholder meeting for the future internet governance, maybe. And we will have the ITU's plenipotentiary meeting for 2014 this year, and we will have the WCIS +10 review. So that's really series of the event, and we have a bunch of activities on here. So I'd like to invite Paul Wilson to brief what is going on for that kind of the activity and the movement. Then for us all to have the discussion. And as I said that again I'd like to emphasize that APNIC activity is need to have the consent from the membership, and the Executive Council representing the membership is for that. So I'm really happy to have a lot of input for us to consider. Thank you very much, and Paul, please.
Thank you, Akinori. We've touched on this topic already a couple of times this morning, so I don't want to labour or repeat what's been said before too much. I think what's most important is that there be some discussion, that there be some exchange of views amongst the membership and the community, that we have not too many unanswered questions, and that we have a sense of where we collectively want to go in future. So I do think I need to just give some background here, but again, I hope not to repeat too much of what we already know. I think you understand and have seen the Montevideo Statement. It came from the meeting, as I mentioned earlier, of the Internet Technical Coordination Groups last year in Montevideo. Its key points were arising from the revelations about pervasive surveillance, a warning against responses to that would result in fragmentation of the internet, say governmental responses, for instance, a concern about a general undermining of trust and confidence in the internet amongst the internet user and business community, reiterating something that's been said many times, which is we really feel that community-wide efforts are important to keep developing the model under which the internet is governed or managed. And I want to say here, as I did in the panel the other day, that internet governance, the word may be a bit difficult because sometimes governance is seen as something that governments do, that the governments of the world do governance. But internet governance is something that is absolutely connected with everything that we do. And in fact, what is going on in this room and in this meeting is internet governance. And even before anyone started talking about internet governance, we were doing internet governance. If I think back to my first sort of challenging engagement as the DG at APNIC, I was asked to go to Beijing within the first month or so of joining APNIC and talk to governmental representatives there about what APNIC could do to provide more certainty in IPv4 address supply. And that was an internet governance discussion, even though nobody called it internet governance. It was part of outreach and communications that I have had to do ever since I started at APNIC, that many of us at APNIC have had to do ever since the beginning, in different ways, but actually in increasing ways. And I think it's completely understandable that this demand on APNIC for communication and engagement is increasing because the internet is growing constantly, rapidly, not just in terms of infrastructure, but in terms of function and importance, and many, many people these days are more and more interested in how the internet is working, and we need to be able to tell them at least what APNIC does, because what we do is absolutely critical. IP addresses, we all know, are a critical internet resource. How they're managed is something that is of interest. And I think it's fair to say that, that in recent years or over the years, the technical community, which used to, if I could put it bluntly, we used to have our heads in the sand about how other people relied on the internet or how other people may have needed to understand what we do. You know, we had very technical meetings, very little time spent on communicating the technical content with people who didn't speak the language. And it really was a head in the sand sort of attitude. And I think across the technical community, we've actually taken our heads out of the sand, and we are more and more trying to engage with people to be understood and to understand the needs and the concerns. And that's what this field is all about. So I want to stress again, internet governance is not something out there. Internet governance is actually something that we're all part of. We're starting to use the term internet cooperation actually because internet governance is a little bit tricky. It still sounds like it's something that governments do. And in fact, internet cooperation is how a cooperative relationship and a set of cooperative processes is what has driven the internet and what has been behind its governance ever since the start. That was a little bit of a digression, I'm sorry, from the key points of the Montevideo statement, but community-wide effort towards the evolution of this system is something that's called for. Quite specifically, something that shouldn't be a surprise in terms of what the NRO has asked for is what we referred to as globalising ICANN and IANA. And that refers to two different things. Globalising ICANN refers to the fact that ICANN has a special relationship called the Affirmation of Commitments with the US government. Globalising IANA is about the fact that ICANN has a contract with the US government for IANA functions. They're two separate things which actually need a different approach if they're going to be changed. One of the reasons for change of those agreements is about perceptions and the fact that the existence of those agreements causes a lot of questions to be asked. They cause a lot of concern about the perceived unequal set of relationships in those arrangements. We also added something which shouldn't be a surprise either, which is about the transition to IPv6, which needs to remain a high priority. The APNIC EC met in December, wanted to stress the APNIC EC's support for the statement, and they did so in their own statement in January. And in the APNIC statement, there were a few other things that were said, but I think without going too far into detail here, the interest of APNIC is in stability and reliability of the number registry function provided by IANA. That is a key interest of APNIC, of the EC, of all of us. The registries provided by IANA, the number registries that are provided by IANA should be continued in a manner which complies with global policy development, obviously, and which responds to the needs of the community that are concerned with them. APNIC, like the other RIRs, has supported the operation of the IANA Global Number Registry under ICANN, and we'll go on supporting that as we have done because it works. But what we called for is some clarity and transparency in the relationship that we have with ICANN for IANA functions. And also, finally, we wanted to see, and we have an interest in ICANN's ongoing evolution to a globalised structure. The APNIC EC wanted to say as well that, that we recognise the multi-stakeholder model, that we support the Internet Governance Forum as the agreed place for Internet governance matters to be discussed. Now, that doesn't mean the IGF is perfect by any means. In fact, we want to see ongoing evolution. But if there is to be a global forum in which these matters are discussed, then the IGF is the best solution. It came out of a very long process, and we don't want to go back to the drawing board or to select something else that may be available as a substitute. We actually have a sort of a commitment to the IGF to work to do the job that it needs to do, which is to provide that forum. We spoke about IPv6 and wanted to reiterate that again in the EC statement. The IPv6 progress is pretty good, but we felt the need to commit to ongoing active support. Okay, so that's the Montevideo statement and the EC's response to it, which was published in January. The last few months have been pretty confusing actually, because it was around the time of the Montevideo meeting that, well, very soon after, there was an announcement about another meeting which is happening in Brazil, hosted by the Brazilian government, and they decided that they wanted to have a meeting about a global meeting about internet governance. So there was a lot of speculation about what that meant, and I think it's very important to see the meeting that's now referred to as Net Mondial as something that doesn't create a new forum. It doesn't create fragmentation. It should, in fact, I think, and many people I think are supporting this view that whatever happens in this Brazil meeting, which is happening in late April, it should simply support what we're doing. What we want to see is a reaffirmation of the importance of IGF. We want to see a reaffirmation of our understandings about internet governance and the multi-stakeholder model. So that's something that I'll speak about in a minute. It's actually very good to see in the Net Mondial meeting that there's a multi-stakeholder process that's gone on. There's been selection of representatives on different committees that are connected with the meeting from different parts of the world and different stakeholder groups, and it's nice to see actually that the Asia Pacific has got quite a good representation in those preparations, even though the meeting is happening on the other side of the planet. Akinori is a member of the Executive Management Committee representing technical community. We also have an academic from Korea who is part of the academic community there as well. And it's quite well represented. But let me just go on into we are quite well represented, but let me go on into one of the specifics about that meeting is that there are public submissions which have been called, which are closing in about a week's time, just over a week's time, on the 8th of March. And what the Net Mondial organisers, including the Executive Management Committee, have asked for are public submissions on principles for internet governance and on the roadmap for internet governance. The NRO, EC, the RIRs collectively will be meeting next week actually, and we'll be talking about this issue amongst others. And I hope we'll be talking about drafting a submission into Net Mondial. Again, I don't think this needs to be a terribly complicated thing, but it's quite useful for us to be able to say to the Net Mondial organisers, and as our input into the Net Mondial process, that we all actually know what internet governance is. We've been talking about it for the last 10 years and it's been defined. We have also recognised the multi-stakeholder model. Like internet governance itself, that model didn't arise when someone invented a word or a new word. It actually is intrinsic to the way the internet has operated ever since its beginning, is the open multi-stakeholder nature. But we want to acknowledge that that's been now recognised as a critical part of the success of the internet. And we also want to make sure, I think, that in any governance processes, what we actually need to be focusing on is the internet itself. The fact that the internet has unique characteristics that may actually disperse, they may disappear, they may be sacrificed under different sorts of management approaches. So for instance, in the Montevideo statement, we were very concerned about responses to surveillance being to fragment the internet along national lines or along other lines to interrupt the free flow of information as a sort of crude response to the surveillance issue. So that would not be a good outcome. in the processes of internet management and governance, we actually want to maintain the global nature of the internet. To avoid fragmentation, we want to maintain the openness, the end-to-end, the neutrality of the internet. That is, the separation between the infrastructure and the applications. I think it's actually fairly straightforward to put these things into the Net Mondiale process as basic statements of principles. They're not new things. What we would really be doing is reminding the meeting of what has already been said, probably many times before. On the second part, on roadmap, as I said already, I think the IGF is recognised, it's supported. We don't have an alternative. We do want to evolve and strengthen the IGF so that it works better. And probably part of that roadmap for governance has got to be, again, a reminder that we've called for the globalisation of ICANN and IANA as processes to continue, so that sort of question about the privileged role of one government can disappear and make many people actually more comfortable with the way things are working. Just to confuse matters even more, we have not only the IGF, we have not only the Montevideo Statement, we have the Net Mondiale. We also have something that came up as an initiative actually informally between ICANN and the RARs, a discussion forum called OneNet. So OneNet was intended as a sort of a movement or a forum or a place, in fact, for an encompassing dialogue and encompassing inclusive conversation to happen involving all stakeholders in this internet governance set of processes. So there actually doesn't exist one already which includes all of the stakeholder groups. There's a lot of fragmentation actually between civil society and technical and other. So OneNet is something that was established to provide that. I wrote a paper about it a little while ago, late last year, sort of explaining, again, a vision of convergence, of keeping things simple. And I think the point about OneNet is that it can be a place for the discussions that are happening annually at IGF, for those discussions to happen in between IGF meetings. So if you're interested in that, you may or may not be interested, you may or may not have time, OneNet is a place to go. It's actually extremely active. You don't subscribe to that, the mailing list there without expecting a lot of traffic in your mailbox. So I can only recommend it if you'd like to sort of dip in and have a look, or really spend some time looking at some very interesting discussions that are happening there. Okay, I think the bottom point on this slide actually is part of the potential for OneNet. It's also part of the potential of IGF and improving the IGF activity in this region, for instance, with the India meeting that's happening later this year. The voices from this part of the world are not well heard. They're not very present in these global discussions, and I think it's really important that we are. Okay, so that's a discussion starter, I hope. But I think the best way to actually start discussion would be to discuss. So I'll sit down and hopefully hear some interesting comments and contributions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Paul. Masato.
Hi, I'm Masato, working for SoftBank, APNIC Direct Member. Yes, I have an iPad, so it means my comment is prepared, very long one. Okay?
Please keep it short.
No, I don't want to do so. It's
okay.
Because it's very important.
Concise.
I have two major concerns about this context. Okay, first, I know that it is very important to keep liaison with other bodies like ISTER, ITU, and UN. And also I understand your intention, Paul, your intention is introducing the governance discussion in this community and involving more people in this discussion. However, despite of your intention, actually you are making a gap in APNIC community and APRICOT community. Because the discussion has only buzzwords, many buzzwords like globalization, fragmentation, coordination, cooperation, interaction, evolution, accelerating, encouraging. I pick up these words from your presentation, okay? I can pick up more from Wednesday session actually, but it is a waste of time. Also, it has very few realistic things. Another good example is a video message from ICANN CEO on Wednesday session. It was very short message, just 20 seconds, I think. But he just said, IANA should be global. But what did he mean by global? Isn't current IANA global already? I cannot totally understand his comment. Also, people in the governance discussion often say, without XXX, the internet will stop or it will die. But it's not true. Okay, let's consider the case if DNS governed by ICANN will be corrupted totally from some reason. What happened? Is this the end of the internet or is this the end of the world? Totally not. In such case, I think Google will say, okay, we can provide alternative solution. You can resolve all existing domains by asking to 8.8.8.8. Also, we can provide additional features like filtering for phishing site because we have enough data from Gmail service. And also, we can provide additional TLD. How about this? Everybody use that service, and actually everybody will become more happy. No problem. Okay. So people saying without XX logic looks like the boy who cried wolf. And there are so many such people in the governance discussion. So as a result, many people in particular working for operators think, oh, this discussion is not related with me and also related with my company. Okay, that those high-level people are doing something, but it's not for me. Even if they would bring it back to the company, to their company, that the reaction is just, then so fact. What next? Like this. Nothing happened. So it means you fail to involve operators, not only individual level, but also company level. And second concern, in my understanding, main object of APNIC is regional address registry, not? However, it seems you are spending too much resources for the governance discussion. In this context, resources means HR resource, budget, and also meeting time, including this session. I don't want to open details in here, but I have clear evidence which shows APNIC is spending too much resources to the governance discussion, and as a result, it is causing negative impact for daily works as RIR. I don't think it is your intention, but the fact is fact. Then, it's not a comment only from me. I talked with many people yesterday, and I heard same concerns from multiple people, directly and indirectly. So as one of the APNIC member, I would like to ask two things to our EC members and also our Director General. First one is reconsidering the way to approach to the community regarding the governance discussion. Current way is totally misleading, okay? Then second one is limiting the resource which will be used for the governance discussion because it already have negative impact for daily work as RIR. Thank you.
Before next comment, do you have any? Coming back? No? All right, Raj, please.
Okay. Rajesh Charya, President ISPI. I don't have the iPad, I have the piece of paper. And I was expecting during this APNIC meeting that APNIC this year will also announce some prizes as an iPad, but sorry, this time doesn't come. Anyway, the next billion of the internet user are from our region. Our region consists of a very variety of economies, developed, developing, and underdeveloped. Hence, our concerns towards the internet is much more. I really appreciate the effort of the APNIC EC, APNIC community, and especially under the leadership of Paul Wilson towards the Asian Pacific for discussion about internet cooperation, not governance. Paul, you rightly says that it should be internet cooperation because the word governance is putting some governance or government approach towards the internet, which should not be, because it is contradicting with the one world, one net. We are seeing a lot of revolution into the different country, and really, after the PRISM event, the trust and the confidence of the internet users has shaken a lot. To bring back the confidence and trust towards this powerful media, the role of APNIC is very important, and I really appreciate again for their role towards the internet, I will say cooperation, not governance. The Mundial meeting is going to happen in April, and the main internet governance is going to happen in Turkey, and before that, the Asian Pacific Regional IGF has a very crucial role to play. We have to decide our direction towards the internet, and the same thing we have to replicate into the main IGF. The process has started. The Montevideo statement is a good effort, but at the same time, the globalization of the ICANN and IANA, which is now under the process, is raising the doubt what was the present status of the IANA and ICANN when they are claiming that now the globalization is taking place. Another thing, the youth, the next generation, who are going to actually adopt the internet from us. And we should be responsible in handing over this powerful media to them so that they can use this media in a better and constructive way, not in a destructive way. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Brajesh Jain, I also have a few pages, but don't worry, most of them are blank. Now, first thing is, Mr. Paul, you mentioned as crude response to surveillance. The response is not at all crude. For past few years, governments have been raising various issues because response was not coming. This could be one such way. Last year, we did not hear of Mundial. Now every Mundial seems to be the focus. And similarly, last 4 years, we have been trying to raise the issue in APNIC as well, that we are not outreaching to the administrations. Internet for all is good, but it has got to be safe internet. And for safe internet, who is the custodian of safety of the citizens? It goes back to the government. And like we had the PPSC session, first it was said GAC, but the community felt that government need not be involved into the affairs of internet, which is completely incorrect. So hence the PPSC got created through the support of APNIC. But PPSC at this moment did not get the right attention or focus at all. So, and today I can assure you that some other administrations next year, instead of Mundial, it could be some TPL or something, which would attract the attention. Like I can say from the Indian context, Indian government has been raising so many issues on internet to ICANN, to these things, and even APNIC. We do not seem to be outreaching to them. And there could be some response from them, which will be governed from security and surveillance, which you would tend to term as crude. Response is not crude at all. Okay. Next point is, how do we know that who are representing in Mundial, what view they are taking from APNIC, and does that view represent the view of the community at all? I have not seen that effort to see that the representation from APNIC which is going to Mundial, does it represent the community interest at all? Has this representation group discussed with the governments that what do they want to be represented in this Mundial? I do not see that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. David.
David Farmer, University of Minnesota, Aaron AC. I have a couple of comments quickly. One, while I understand this community's and the technical community's focus on cooperation rather than governance, I would caution us to not back away from the term governance. We would leave it to the governments then, which we don't want to do. We need multi-stakeholder internet governance that includes the governments and the technical community. Leaving that word to them is dangerous. Then I would like to remind the technical community through a local thing at the University of Minnesota. We say the network works so much better when the students are at home and not on campus. But the purpose of the campus network is not for the technical people, it's for the users, the students, and in the global internet, the citizenry. So we are a service industry. We're here to serve the community of interest, the globe. Governments have a role in that. We can't push them away, but we need to be assertive as well and make sure that the technical issues are resolved as well as the political and other community issues. Thank you.
Thank you. Andy.
Andy Linton, I'd like to say I support the statement that Masato has made fully. I think that APNIC is in real danger of getting away from its core mission, which is to run a registry. David has just said that we should be thinking about, drew the analogy of the university and the students. You know, the idea that the students would govern the university because they happen to be users of the network doesn't necessarily follow. So there's a thing to think about. But I do really think that we're in real danger. This organization, and I look at organizations like Internet New Zealand and back at home, and I look at ICANN, and there's a whole lot of nonsense talked about multi-stakeholder. We're actually building a new aristocracy where people who can afford to fly around the world, go into lots of meetings, deciding what's good for us, are doing this, and they're not actually consulting with the people who this really matters to. And I think it's a real risk that what we're doing is getting to the point where we have lost the plot, all of us, or a very large number of us.
Andy, thanks for your comments. Look, I think one of the things we are as the EC is the members' representative. So if there's a number of people that are feeling this same sort of thought, then we absolutely need to listen to that. I mean, Masato's statement. Thank you very much for making that. It was very well thought out. Is that something that people generally agree with? Is that I don't know if we can get a raise of hands from members who sort of really think that's a critical issue, both Andy and Masato-san's comments. Is that something we could do? Guys, if you want to comment on that, please put up your hand. Are there people that sort of disagree with that and think we should be particularly more involved? Well, guys, 3 people is, if you have a view on this, I think now is the time to really come forward. That this is our annual member meeting. So, please, again, if you think that was something we should be seriously looking into, please, raise your hand. That would be very useful, guys. It's very, very hard to read a room where only 4 people stick up their hands for 2 options. Sorry?
If you're going to do this, maybe you want to think about the process and announce it to give people time to think about it before just springing it on them.
Fair enough. Look, we'll put this in as part of the membership survey. I think that's probably the absolute best result and the way to get the most exposure. But please, Masato.
James, right now, everybody reading email. That's very good example what I mentioned.
Yeah, fair enough. Would you be happy if we put this into the survey and got you involved in drafting the question for the membership survey? I think that. Sorry? Why spend such a long time? Because that's a great way to get the membership, to allow the entire membership to provide their feedback.
No, survey will happen in June. So you spend 3 more months.
Why not?
Or after analyzing, or you need more time to analyzing survey. But we already have good evidence. Okay, 80%, more than 80% people is not hearing in this discussion.
Then they are not hearing your voice, Masato. I don't like it putting in that way.
Because it's not, this discussion is not related with them, as I said.
Well, I think, rather than making a sort of a snap reaction to these comments, I think that the best source of finding out what the entire membership feels is the membership survey. Now, if it takes a few months to do that, I think that's probably far better than us making rash decisions on without consulting members.
James, it is the problem of interest, I think, interest level, right? So even if we will ask this one in the survey, you will not have, I can say, significant feedback.
We get, I mean, we usually get sort of 600 or so. Is it 600?
No. I mean, I'm not talking about generic feedback. I'm talking about a specific feedback about governance discussion.
Well, I agree with you, and I think I would like to work with you to propose that and formulate that for the membership survey. Is that
it's not the problem of the question in the survey. It is a problem of interesting level about the governance discussion. Many operator doesn't have any interest for the governance discussion, right? So if you will ask some question about governance in the survey, they will not answer, or they will answer quite, so it should be okay like that. But it doesn't mean it is fine for them.
I agree with you, but I think we need to work out a way that's structured that we can get feedback from
So
members.
I think it is a task of EC how handle this issue. Asking to member, it doesn't have any meaning in my understanding.
Well, I tend to have a different view that I think. Andy, please.
James, I think there's a huge arrogance if we take the votes or the opinions of 4,000 members or whatever it is of APNIC and say that gives us this organization a mandate to speak on behalf of the people of the Asia Pacific region, which is more than half the world's population, and say we're the ones that know how to do internet governance for you. I think it's a huge arrogance. Our job is to run a registry here, and the rest of it is fluff and boilerplate.
Well, I think this obviously is an emotive argument.
Just fluff.
Okay. This is obviously an emotive argument, Andy. What I'm trying to do is assess how many people agree that this is an issue, and if we can actually get some feedback from the members. Look, if the active members are saying this and the broader member base is saying this, then we as the EC need to listen to that and go back and have a very seriously hard look at how much resources we invest in this area. I mean, that's us listening to you. I don't think it's fair to say to us we just need to make a quick decision based on feedback at one meeting and change everything on the spot. I don't think that's good governance, and I don't think that's what you as the members and the broader membership would apply. But we're having this conversation because we, I think, as the EC want to find out there's obviously an issue burning there that is emotive and people feel strongly about. Then let's get to the bottom of it. Are we spending too much time on it? Should we be more focused on being a registry? Will that reduce member fees? Will that do a number of things? That is something we should. If it's on the a topic on top of the member's mind, that's something we should decide. So I would like to work with you both to make sure that that's in the survey, and maybe we can open, or you both can open up a discussion on the mailing list so we can get more feedback.
Izumi, so I'm speaking on individual capacity, and I really like the phrase that Rajesh just mentioned. The internet is not really about governance, and the spirit is all about cooperation, and the word governance doesn't really fit in with what we actually do. And having said that, I started to be more involved in this area of internet governance from pretty much this year. And the observation that I'm making at this stage is also feel very much with maybe probably a lot of you is feeling that it's quite difficult to find a topic that you can really relate to, or you feel that, you know, it really affects you, because there's so many things, you know, like principles and matter, and like, okay, how does that affect the way that we're operating the network? So, you know, how does that affect us as registry and things like that? But at the same time, I feel a little bit alarmed, because out of this huge volume of maybe like 1,000, you know, topics, like every once in a while things come up that's relevant to us. You can probably see this from the wicked discussions trying to like regulate the internet. And in the last IGF in Bali, which I attended for the first time, there was like quite active discussions on surveillance and security. So, you know, I also feel a lot of it is not really, you know, directly related to what we do, but and I don't feel everybody has to be involved, but there should be some kind of way that if something comes up that we need to be alert, and we have to like send message to the forum that's, you know, they're discussing it, we should be able to voice and give warnings. Hey, this is how we do it, you know, and make sure that things don't get decided in the way we don't want to. And I'm seeing a lot of the government is really learning how things are working in the internet operations, and that's one is a positive sign. But if I get like if I have a little bit of cynical view, they are more in advantage of knowing what's happening and be able to implement what they want to do, which I am sensing in one of the topics. And it's a little bit sensitive to share it with here, but I do actually feel that, okay, if we don't really give our voices in certain topics, governments will start saying, hey, this is what's happening around the world, so you should consider doing this and put pressure on us. So I just want to raise this as an issue that I'm feeling at the moment.
Thanks, Izumi. Rani.
Thank you. Nurani Nipuna from NetNode. I'm going to try to keep it brief, but I want to make a few quick points. One is I think that the concerns about where the membership fees are going, I think they are valid and they need to be listened to. I think we're at a point of time where the RIR's activities are shifting because of E4 exhaustion, and I think that is a time where the RIRs, all of the RIRs, really need to listen to the membership. Where do you want your membership fees to go, and not assume. Having said that, I'm someone who thinks that internet governance cannot be ignored. I myself spend too much time on it, I think. But there are some challenges there, and I think I see two challenges. One is that whenever in the internet governance fee we talk about the technical community, we end up having the RIRs and ISOC and ICANN representing the technical community. And there are far too few operators and actual technical people in the technical community represented. And I think that is a potential problem. And I'm not trying to undermine the position of the RIRs or ISOC or ICANN. I think in many ways you're doing a fantastic job. But I think we need to be careful that we don't create a disconnect between these policy bodies and the actual technical community. The third point I was going to make, was about communication. And I think some of the concerns voiced here are really valid. And I've been in meetings. I'm guilty of this myself. I've been in many meetings where we carefully craft text using carefully chosen words to make subtle points that are completely undecipherable to people outside of our own little internet governance sphere. Globalization, cooperation, transparency, etc. And I find myself even reading, so for example, when the Montevideo statement came out, and I think I am in this sphere, this core sphere of internet governance people, and I had to decipher that statement myself. What are the RIRs actually saying? And I had to speak to the various RIRs to understand what that message was. And that is someone who is used to these terms and who operate in this internet governance sphere and who have direct contacts with the RIRs. But I completely agree with that criticism that for those who are not in this sphere, it is very, very hard to decipher this language. And I say we, including myself, we need to become a lot better at actually communicating what it is we are doing and what we're trying to achieve and what is at stake, because I don't think a lot of people really realize what is at stake. And sometimes maybe we need to move away from these big fancy, carefully chosen words and really say what we're trying to, what we're thinking.
Thank you.
Brajesh Jain again. I would like to ask James, you are asking community now. Did you ask community before that, hey, governance issue has come, would you like us to take it up? Now you are saying, should we take it up? And that is number one. Please let me continue. Number two, as members, we raised about the fees. EC already said it is already a closed decision. It is membership funding which is coming up. When the dollar rate in Australia changed, you increased the fees. Now that when the Australian currency has now come down, you have not reverted those fees. So you have not at all considered the members' money is coming. Do you consider the returning back to the members or giving them the concessions? That issue you and respective chair EC told that the issue is already closed. So if you have budget, if you have money, please do consider that it should be returned to the members in whatever form. And consulting the members at this moment, meeting like this, challenging the members, the raise hands and all that, this is just not proper. Because you never gave in the last EC, we did not have the raise the hands who wants us to take the governance issue at all. Thank you.
Let me address the first issue. Is the governance issue is not something we decided to suddenly be involved in. Internet governance has been something that's been bubbling away and has evolved, throughout APNIC's history. It's just that it has evolved more and to consume more resources and time. So this is not we decided to suddenly invest our efforts in internet governance. So that's the first point. The second point is I don't think we should have a closed discussion on fees. There seems to be, certainly in this room, the view that we may be spending too much money in certain areas. Fees are an issue for certain economies. So I'm completely happy to table a fee review and open discussion at the next, I'll propose that, subject to the chair agreeing, propose that for our next EC meeting, which will be in May.
In the AMM meeting so far, I got the sense that EC has already closed its mind. Chair said that this year it is closed, so next year maybe we would consider and think.
Typically we address fees in December at our face-to-face meeting in Brisbane. That's just a historical nature. There's no reason we can't address fees.
But you did not decide about Mundial in December. Mundial is coming up. You are tackling the issues as they are coming up.
Look,
and you cannot say that fees part is closed, another part is open.
I'm saying here, look, I think we have a job to do, and we have a process that we've gone through, and we have certain times of the year where we do certain roles. We do the budget in December. That doesn't mean we can't change that and be flexible and listen to what the members are saying. So there's a bit of a fight going on in the background there. And in terms of the raise of the hands, I apologise. I just wanted to see if this is something that we should discuss more. I think that was a fantastic statement by Masada-san. Thank you very much for making it. But I think we could easily get very off topic that, and I think it was well worth putting some more time into understanding that. So that was why I asked for a show of hands. It wasn't for any other reason, just to see if this is something we should debate.
Dean Pemberton. I think what we've seen today is a very strong message from the community that this does need to be looked at. I think you were right in that it does need to be looked at in a very structured way. But when, you know, I also heard some great concerns about, you know, if this is to be handled in the framework of the membership survey, then, you know, there is a significant amount of time when the concern that the members have will just keep on going along as usual. So I would say maybe a middle ground there would be for the EC to consider placing a moratorium on any increased resource in this area until you could fully hear and appreciate what the members are saying. Thank you.
Thank you. I think one of the things we can do is certainly understand the extent of our investment in this. That's not, I mean, we can work with finance on that. In terms of creating a moratorium, I think that's possibly one step too far, but I would like to, you know, as Treasurer, understand exactly what the investment we're making in this space and the materiality of that, and you know, continue on discussing it.
Yeah, again, Masato from SoftBank. And while some people are saying that APRICOT is technical community, but in my understanding, it's not only technical community. Okay, in here, many discussions happen from business background, right? For example, some address policy came from business requirement. But we also need to consider technical factor to decide that, to make a decision about that policy. So in my understanding, this community is very good combination of technical matter and also business matter and also political matter, right? We need to consider about the security to decide some policies. And actually, security is becoming a very big issue in the internet. So we are mixing up very well in here. But governance discussion, current governance discussion is different. It has just politics. At least from outside, it looks so. So it's totally different one. So I think that is a problem.
All right, thank you very much, Masato. But it is true that we need to handle a lot of aspects of the running the internet. And as I said, it's a wide spectrum that I didn't. Okay, Masato, go ahead.
Again, if governance discussion may go to wrong conclusion, I and also my company will not care. Why? You know, I will explain more details, but my company is now trying to combine mobile and the internet regarding in business perspective and also technical perspective. You know the reason? Reason why? Internet makes a lot of money? Not. Now, content and mobile is making a lot of money, but internet itself is not. The reason why we are combining these two is the internet already exists, and it is working, and it is growing. If the internet will stop from some reason, we just threw away it, as we did for ATM. So you said without this discussion, something wrong will happen. No, it's not wrong for me. I just need to find another thing.
James, you said that a moratorium is a step too far, and perhaps you're right. But perhaps one of the things that could be done here, if we are going to talk to membership, would be to say, as part of the accounts, would be to break out the true cost of doing the internet governance activities, and also try and provide some real measurement of the real benefits it brings to this community. And I'm not convinced, and I'm sensing a number of other people are not convinced that the amount of resource we spend on it actually brings us the benefits that we claim or are claimed for it.
Take that on board.
Rajesh Charya. In Gold Coast, when I first proposed the proposal of GAC, for discussion about the policy towards the internet. Few people laughed at me and tried to discourage me. Technical people thinks this is the platform for discussion about the technical policy. We are doing so. There is no problem. But who will discuss about the internet and who will be responsible for this internet continuity towards the user side? Here, the internet governance or cooperation comes. Lot of revolution is taking place into the different countries. We know, I don't want to name those countries. As I stated in my earlier statement also, that the next billion is going to come from our region. The responsibility of our region and our community towards this cooperation or governance is much more. And if we will not discuss about this policy, or we will not be able to bring this trust and confidence into the internet user, the internet will die. And when the internet will die, then there is no requirement of policy discussion about the technical thing or anything. Then we will not be meeting, we will not be meeting for the technical things. We will be just coming for a, I will say into the Hindi, gupshup. I don't want that. What I want is that along with the technical, we should also discuss about the governance and cooperation. And I will request EC, APNIC EC, for encouraging the PPAC, earlier it was GAC, so that a different platform for the discussion for the policy of internet users should also be discussed into our community.
Okay.
Okay, Pinda Wong, Hong Kong, speaking personally, just to be clear. I'm not an APNIC member, but I do participate in the internet governance sphere by historical accident, and I do have a relationship with APNIC. I was at APNIC 1. I was the former alternate chair of APNIC. I was appointed by the ASO to be the first vice chairman of the ICANN board, blah, blah, blah. I just want to remind everyone that one aspect of these membership meetings is, and was mentioned several times, is that you represent the membership, and this is the membership meeting. And this meeting was fairly quiet. In fact, there was not much comment until this topic came up, and then boom. That's quite illustrative of internet governance discussion. So I actually want to speak in support of APNIC involvement with internet governance. I think it's important. I think what I'm hearing, though, is a question of degree in terms of resource commitment, in terms of where the type of fees you connect, and how it is spent. I want to take back what I said earlier in the morning about congratulating you with your ISO 9001. The reason why I want to take that back is, don't lose the plot. Having these procedures and standards and these kinds of things is great, especially in internet governance, because you can say, I conform to a global standard on quality, right? But don't lose the plot about, one, there is an ecosystem out there, and I use the RPAKI as an example. Yes, there's a split between how much you've spent on resources and the wider benefit to the ecosystem. And I think the ecosystem, before we had internet governance, what I think we had was good stewardship. By a few people, perhaps. But they always kept in mind, not necessarily the numbers, the books, right? But the wider health of that ecosystem. If you even look at APNIC's, in your chart, in terms of the revenue, there's a little bit of, a little bit of loss and flat point and a little bit of revenue. This is great from a financial perspective. But as the membership meeting, and even your suggestion earlier of doing a survey, I think the point that I heard was that it may or may not be of interest. And one aspect to do with internet governance, which I think I'm really pleased to see, is what I would see here is, first of all, it's open. Guys like me, dinosaurs can come in here and observe. I'm no longer part of this community, it's going to be clear, although I still feel that way. So thank you. But what I would call transparency, this is an open discussion, and you're being very candid, but also, more importantly, what I would see is accountability. You've mentioned that, and if the membership here who've taken the trouble to be here are articulating to you in these terms, I think that's really healthy to see. Whereas a survey, you know, if people aren't going to be interested, and I play in the internet governance space, I suppose, you know, Ni and I, the opening keynote and me, we both serve in some sense in this level 9, level 10. And you know what? It sucks up all my time. And I can't keep track of it. So the question is degree. And if you claim your accountability and transparency, then now is the time to do it, because this is, in my remembrance, is the membership meeting. So don't throw procedure, don't throw, you know, bureaucracy. I mean, that's great. That's why I take that ISO thing back. It's good to have it, and it's good to manage expectations, but the gentleman here said, hey, look, you know, you should have told us beforehand, perhaps. So don't let the procedures get in the way of the communication. Remember, think global, act locally, and do this bottom up. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pinder. If I just touch on a point there, I think we have varying different views from, look, we've hit a problem, we're investing, we shouldn't be investing anything, anytime, anything, to people who probably believe we should be investing more and doing more. So the issue around a survey is really to understand and get feedback on, you know, where most people sit. If we, as the EC, listen to the most vocal member, we're not doing our job. What we need to do is listen to the views of probably the more active members first, but also the broader membership. So there is a right answer there. It's just finding what that answer is and putting the analysis into understanding where we are, you know, what we are doing, what we are investing, how much time we are spending, and how that compares with the members' view. So please don't view the membership survey as bureaucracy. Please view it as a way for us to listen to more than the most vocal handful of members.
Okay. Thank you, James. And sorry, before that, we are, you know, I'm very excited to have the you know, very big discussion, the fruitful discussion, but running out of time. So please keep your comments brief, please. Thank you.
Sure. Okay. My name is Hen Darwin, representing the. I'm from PUBG, but I'm talking here on my behalf. I think I like to support the involvement of APNIC on the governments, but then yes, however, APNIC need to be balanced on cooperation and governance. I'm talking on my perspective about the governance, a sample of what's happening in Indonesia, where the government, the civil society, and the business sectors and the academics sitting together, talking about how we are, how to do proper things and regulate for the entire of Indonesia. But then we're not just talking about the Indonesia itself, but we are talking about the working together within the regions, between the countries. A lot of samples now. In here, we're talking about the policy and everything, but the actual things, a lot of things happening in the community, what we all really sit down together how to solve it. The sample things of we know Indonesia is a Muslim country. Back then, there was they call it a video on YouTube regarding the, you all heard about it, and that part, government, civil society, and then the business sector sat down together how to solve it, not only the government. So this is a sample of the governance of internet. So again, I like to support the involvement of APNIC on the governance. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Nurani.
Nurani from NetNote again. I'll keep my points very brief, but I would just like to reiterate the point on communication and consultation. I think that APNIC should be involved with this, if that wasn't clear from my previous statement. I think you need to listen to the membership about balance, but I think a big part of this is about communication and consultation, because the membership won't be able to make a decision about APNIC's involvement unless they understand what it means. What is this internet governance thing that you're doing, and what is actually at stake? And I think I think we can do a lot more there to bring clarity to the membership and to the community as a whole. And that will help the member. That is, I think, how you will get the community and the membership behind these efforts. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, I'm very good to have this discussion, and I think it's fair to have the poll as take an initiative role for this this movement. I mean, in APNIC Secretariat, for explaining some of his view on that.
Thanks. I really do think this is one of the most interesting and engaged discussions that we've had in an APNIC meeting for a long time. Probably second only to fee structure discussions a few years ago. But I think this one is a good one.
We can always
and we're covering fees as well. It's absolutely correct that APNIC runs a registry, and in the APNIC organisation runs a registry, and in discussions about internet governance, however broad and vague that may seem, my emphasis and the emphasis I always want to give is on our role as an IP address registry. APNIC is a community, and the community owns the registry, so I'd ask the question of who is there to protect the registry, and that's a real question. That, you know, we are grown up now. We believe the registry is critically important. I think if we ask for a show of hands, I hope that we would have every hand in the room agreeing that the registry is critically important. And if it is critically important, then who is there to protect it? Because we're grown up now, and we cannot expect that magically someone else is there or someone else is going to protect the registry. It's the community's responsibility, and to think otherwise, to really not actually engage with that responsibility, is to have your head in the sand, as I said before. Because the registry, along with a lot of other aspects, very, very tightly linked aspects of the internet, are the subjects of a big struggle now. There have been proposals amongst governments to create new registries, competing registries, to create national registries, to map, to allocate IPv6 addresses according to phone numbers. There've been a stack of crazy proposals, crazy directions, some with more or less traction. And the point is, who is there to answer those proposals? Who is there to actually engage? And, you know, luckily we've got plenty of friends. There are governments that actually do understand more or less how the internet works and absolutely want to preserve the internet as it exists with its unique characteristics. So unlike Masato, who'll move on to his next business, there are people who actually are kind of dedicated to the internet because it is what it is. But, you know, they actually need help, and a lot of what we do is, you know, whether it's talking to government reps in Japan or in Korea or in Malaysia or in New Zealand or in Australia or in many other countries of the region, a lot of what we do is helping them to help us, because without that help, without expert help, without actually discussing and looking at what's being said and how it can be countered and how compromises can be reached, you know, these people are unequipped. And, you know, I would challenge anyone here to really think about what happens if the registry is unprotected. Now, there's a whole risk argument here, and the risk of some dire, 100-year flood hitting the registry and losing it in one go may be a low risk. The expense of that associated with that risk is extremely high, I'd suggest, and it is actually something that risks the livelihood of, you know, everyone in this room, let alone the health and the integrity of the internet as we know it. So, you know, it's a judgment call. There's risk management here. There's budgeting. There's you know, efficient use of resources and also rallying of community resources. Plenty to talk about it. It does worry me a bit to think that we might just suddenly say, let's have a moratorium, or let's let's cut or let's take actions in the context of this kind of meeting, because honestly this discussion has been going on for a long time, and for anyone to suggest that there hasn't been consultation, they've missed a member survey that's happened every 2 years. They've missed numerous sessions about this topic in numerous meetings, and I think I take it as a compliment, because actually that is exactly what this session is here for, and it's been a great session in terms of airing a whole lot of views. But to say that we need to consult in this session is kind of missing the wood for the trees in some way. We have done and we continue to do numerous consultations. Narani has suggested actually that we need to do more, and if we need to do more, then it's going to fall under the internet governance budget. And so I can imagine that we might increase our communications, we might increase our consultations, we might do all sorts of things to raise awareness, to continue to try and translate, as I tried today, hopefully with more success than it might appear in some cases, but as I tried today to translate what has been going on into a language that people can relate to. I'm a little afraid that if we were to do that, then we would be told again that we're on some sort of a fool's errand, printing glossy brochures and talking about internet governance. So that's a little bit difficult, and I really do hope, as someone said, that in this process of finding some balance, of making a whole stack of quite deep and complex judgments, that we can actually come together. I particularly hope for a lot of engagement from the EC, who are elected exactly to make these decisions, and you'll have a chance to vote for EC members again very soon in the next year. It's a democratic process, so again, if there are plenty of opportunities to change the direction that we're going in. I just hope that we can work together and understand the judgments that need to be made, because some of the comments that were made today do worry me, both in what they're sort of expressing about, in what they're implying about a sort of a lack of care, and I hope we can be a bit moderate about and good-willed in finding the solutions that we need to find. I think that's all. Thanks.
All right. I accept Masato's brief comment.
Yeah, I'll make it short in 1 minute. I would like to emphasize this point. I'm not asking about stopping internet governance activity completely. I'm not asking that one, right? I'm saying current way has big negative impact to inside the community. So please change the way. That is what I'm asking. Right?
Just very briefly, that is one comment that concerned me as well, Masato, is that you seem to imply that APNIC services or activities are suffering because of a focus on something else, and that concerns me greatly. We had a bigger surplus in this last year than we expected, and we could have spent resources on improving services if there was some perception that was needed. So again, there's a member survey coming up. We need genuine answers about what is suffering, what needs improving. We've asked many times where members want their resources spent, and that's a genuine effort on the part of the EC and the Secretariat to really understand and to serve better. And it worries me to hear that there's a reality, or perceptual reality, that services are suffering. Thanks.
Sorry, but I don't want to wait until survey, so I can share it personally with you.
Right. Thank you very much. We ran over the time, but it's worth. It's worth for that. Then, yes, the Executive Council is, as I said in my report, we are representing the membership, and we will take a reasonable consideration after your voice heard, and with respect rather quiet people, as James says, and taking a balance with what the Director General want to do, and what is the very good for the APNIC community. Then that's our way to consider. Then afterward, you are still looking at that slide. Thank you. And I just spending 10 seconds to sales pitch for the Net Mundial. Please visit netmundial.br, and you can find the contents contribution page, and the deadline for the contribution is March 8th. You have the 1 week, and if you had any say according to the 2 issues, then please, we as the Executive Multi-Stakeholder Committee of Net Mundial, we are waiting for your response and contribution. Thank you very much, and we will have the lunchtime, and we will be resuming the AMM business in the afternoon session in the 2 p.m. o'clock. Thank you very much.
Just once again, the lunch is served level 1 in Fusion Restaurant for those who came late or not hear what I said in the morning. So please go to level 1 for the lunch. Thank you.
Thank you very much.